We were talking the other day about some of the big surprise hits of the year, and there have been some big ones, but there were also a number of very high profile flops. And sadly, one of those flops, just whatever you think about the movie itself. By the way, I didn't think the movie was all that bad, but it flopped, was Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. That did not do very well. It only made around, Ray, you can fact check me on this, but I think it made around like $350 million,
I believe that was it.
which is less than a Black Adam. It's less than a Black Adam.
It's 382.
$382 million it made. So couldn't even get to the $400 million mark for an Indiana Jones film, right? It's a flop. Again, I didn't think it was a bad movie, but it did not do well. Well, for some reason though, this movie seems to be doing really well on home video, which is odd, as well as one of the biggest films of the year, Guardians of the Galaxy. This comes to us from CBR, who write the following. Per Samba TV, Dial of Destiny has been a hit in the VOD market since it became available via major digital platforms on August 29th, with the action-adventure film attracting 474,000 viewers within its first 6 days. By comparison, box office hits like Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 and Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse were watched by 482,000 and 321,000 people respectively via VOD within their first 6 days of availability. Now put that in context, Guardians of the Galaxy made over $800 million at the box office. Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse made over $600 million at the box office. So more than double of what Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny made at the box office. And yet, somehow, some way, for some reason, as many people are tuning into it on home video as they did for Guardians of the Galaxy, and more people are watching it than are watching Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, a movie that made double what Indiana Jones made at the box office. Guys, we want to take a second to thank a sponsor of this video, Vessi. Now, like me, I'm sure a lot of you guys have heard of Vessi, the shoe that claims to be incredibly comfortable and waterproof on top of that. Well, these claims are really interesting to me because as a Canadian who walked around in a lot of snow, and as somebody who likes to go camping and hiking with his wife on the weekends, there's nothing more uncomfortable and horrible than walking around in wet feet. So after receiving my first pair of Vessis and noticing how incredibly good looking the shoes are and how mind-boggling comfortable and flexible they are, the first thing I did was I took them into the backyard to put it to the supreme waterproof test and dipped my feet in my pool. Guys, my feet were bone dry, and like 20 seconds after having them in the pool and I touched them, the shoes themselves were also bone dry. Guys, seriously, these shoes are stupidly comfortable, they look great, and they absolutely lived up to the claim of being waterproof and keeping my feet dry. I absolutely love my Vessi shoes. So guys, if you want shoes that are good looking, are ridiculously comfortable, and on top of all that waterproof, you need to head to vessi.com/Campea and get yourselves a pair today. Go to vessi.com/Campea and get shoes for your best summer yet. Rob, you're looking at these sorts of numbers. I'm a little bit at a loss. How do you rationalize, or what do you think was one of the cause or some of the factors that go into a movie that made less than half the money than these movies did at the theaters, and yet just as many people or more are watching it at home right now? What do you ascribe that to?
Well, there's a couple of reasons. I think a lot of people, even since the pandemic has been essentially quote unquote over, people that didn't go back to the movie theaters waited to watch this on VOD.
No, that's true.
You know, you had older audiences, I think, people that have been watching them. I mean, this is a 42-year-old franchise. So if you were 30 years old when Raiders came out and you're an Indiana Jones fan, you're 72 now. Did you roll out and go see it? Probably not. I mean, even Kingdom of the Crystal Skull is 15 years old. So, and you were in your 50s when that came out. Now you're 72. You didn't roll out to see this in the theater. Be like, oh, I can't wait to see a new Indiana Jones movie, and you were waiting to see this. That's why people, I think, have watched it. And that's just the beginning. I mean, I think a lot of people didn't get out to the theaters. That this movie really suffered from the post-Cannes word of mouth.
Yeah, that
it was
first
sort of
negative reviews, they really hurt their
It was really made a whipping boy. And I think like you know, I would put this like a good mid-level Bond movie. It wasn't awful. It wasn't tremendous, but it was good. I liked it.
Yeah, I call it the fourth best Indiana Jones film out of the 5.
That's what I would say. Yeah, I would 100%. And I think that people are watching it, and some people that didn't go are watching it just to see, and they're like, okay. And I think it's probably going to do, more business. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if the next couple weeks it passes 1 million VOD views.
Oh, yeah, it absolutely will. You know what? I guess maybe one of the other factors that I didn't think about was the fact that it is a big, one of the most popular IPs in the history of the movie business. Maybe the fact that so few people saw it in movie theaters meant that there were still a lot of people who hadn't seen it. And they might be more apt to then rent it at home. Whereas, I went to see Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 a couple of times in theaters. I haven't watched it at home yet. Oh, wait a minute. No, I take that back. I did watch it at home once. But there have been a lot of movies that I've seen in theaters and loved that I didn't then get on VOD later because I'd already seen the film. You know what I mean? And maybe the reverse of that is at play here with Indiana Jones. I don't know. I just thought that was a really interesting fact. Hey guys, thanks so much for watching this video. Make sure you like the video, leave a comment, and subscribe to our channel. And don't forget, we have a daily podcast called the John Campea Show podcast, available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your favorite podcasting app of choice. Go and subscribe to it today so it'll be there when you need it.